I spoke, oh, I spoke with Jane a couple weeks ago about where we should be going with fundraising and marketing because we kind of had a path in mind. And then after the last meeting, it changed a bit because we aren't going to be using Rebel River as much as we thought. And the one thing that came to mind when we both were kind of brainstorming one day is that we should first go towards the 4-H championship program that we talked about at the last meeting. And since that involves alumni, I reached out to Jennifer and said maybe we should just work the two committees together on this and try to get it organized and set up. But basically what we had talked about as 4-H champions is just being alumni who are willing to serve as advocates for the 4-H Foundation and help in the fundraising and marketing efforts of reaching out to other alumni so that we can kind of form a network that's organized, checks in with each other, knows what the other one is doing, excuse me, helps where we need help at certain things. And we were talking about using print materials and social media to get the word out about this and to get it set up. And then once it's set up, our ideal goal is to have a signature fundraiser for 4-H. And we were thinking the alumni 4-H champions could be the advocates for that. And it probably, I mean, it could be one statewide event or it could be broken out into regions. That's just kind of an idea that we have now, but it's the ultimate goal for the actual fundraising efforts, I think. I mean, of course, that's always a board decision and we have to talk about it in depth more. But that's kind of how the champions came about, is just a network that we need to form. And then Kelsey and Jane met with Rebel River last week, and Kelsey was going to report on that, what they talked about there pertaining to how they could help with the champions.
Yep. Thanks, Kathy. So we talked to Rebel River about a few different goals that we have based off the board meeting we had in January. But yes, one of those being the 4-H champions. And a big part of that with the discussion with them was getting print materials together or digital assets together that these 4-H champions could use that talk about the program of 4-H, what 4-H offers to students, maybe even some testimonials, and then also ways that they can get involved and ways that they can give. So kind of gathering around like this pile of assets that 4-H champions could use, even having like slides, presentation slides put together if the 4-H champion is wanting to do like a presentation and it's virtual, whatever, kind of having those assets available. We also talked about social media posts that the 4-H champions could post. And this idea actually just came to my mind of maybe that 4-H champion creates like a Facebook group for their region or however we end up deciding to do this or area. And then, they could use some of these social media posts or templates already and create some of their own posts based off of our templates. So a lot of the goal, I guess, with the Rebel River meeting was to be able to have a bunch of assets that we could just hand off to these 4-H champions for them to do with as the group sees. Maybe they create some of their own ideas to do in their local area, whatever that might be. And this is nowhere set in stone. A lot of our conversation with Rebel River was left open. And if they had some different ideas to maybe add into that, we left it pretty open to them. So, and this can change if after the conversation today or by the April board meeting, we have different goals and we want Rebel River to create other things for us. That's perfectly fine. Like they're, flexible with that. So kind of the update there on what we talked about as far as the 4-H champions side of it. And I can answer any questions anyone has too.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
So Jennifer, do you want to kind of step in here with how I guess first of all, we want to identify. I kind of feel like we need a definition for what is a 4-H champion.
So I looked up on Webster's,
Oh,
and
good
to
job.
be a champion is a person that supports your cause.
Okay,
So that's pretty black and white.
that
In
pretty much does it.
identifying those, as you guys were talking, I was jotting down some things that come to mind. And in identifying and even training and providing resources to those champions, you know, here's the deal. And I guess this is from my background in extension. I think we need to start in our extension offices with our agents and our staff and maybe refire them, get them fired up, get them excited about the campaign so that they reach out. I'm just thinking back to when I was a member. Terry Wolf recruited me to be the one that went and gave presentations to all the groups, the Kiwanis, the Lions, the Welcome Wagon, about 4-H. And that came to mind with me with Kelsey talking about your slideshow. You know, if we had that, it's already done, it's already made. They have a teen that's excellent at public speaking. If they were excited enough with that campaign to recruit that youth to go out and do that, and then when they go out, they have a flyer ready to hand out that is, how can you be a champion too? And it can be donations, it can be all the different ways that they can support 4-H. It's not always monetary. It's purchasing animals at the fair. It's being a leader. It's inviting kids. A vet can invite kids for clinics. So all of those different ways that is in that flyer of how these people you're talking to can also be a 4-H champion. And then I think then there's another arm that extension agents can also help us reach out to their alumni and share that alumni list with us. We need to be more successful, I guess, than the raise the hand. I'm really confused with why the raise the hand campaign never seems to be. That was years ago, and they still haven't gotten us their Montana contacts. So however we do that through extension agents of collecting those lists of alumni, we need to be more successful or expedient than
Jennifer,
that campaign was.
Yeah, I will say we did get that data from the Raise Your Hand. Jane figured out how to get it actually from Todd, who used to be at the 4-H Center. So we did get it. Victoria is going through cleaning up duplicates and things like that.
Cool.
Sounds like there's like maybe around 2,000 to 2,500 people that did that. So that's about what we've got out of that. So just kind of to give you an update on that one.
Can you just give me a 2-minute synopsis of what that is?
Yeah, so from what I understand was Nationals actually did this Raise Your Hand campaign, and they pretty much asked alumni to give your contact information for the most part. And so then they collected all this contact information, and then Nationals didn't do anything with it. Like there was nothing at the end of, what do we do with this data now that we collected? And so now we finally got our hands on that information. And our goal, Jane and I have actually done quite a bit of work since our last meeting with Bloomerang, is we'll get that information cleaned up and put into our database so that way alumni can start getting our information from us. And then we're going to pull the data out of Z Suites as well for, I think it's the last 5 years. We can pull information from there and get that into our database. And then I think it's Blue Ribbon 4-H Online was the other platform that 4-H members enrolled in 4-H. And so we're trying to get that information as well for alumni pulled out of 4-H Online and then put into our database. So that's our current work as far as pulling alumni data from at least the last 10, 15 years, right in there. And Jane can speak a little more to that too, since she's on the call now. But yeah, so we are making progress towards that. And then we can actually hire Bloomerang to take our data once we get it all into Bloomerang of all these alumni contacts. And then they go through and we can hire them to get updated email addresses for those people and mailing addresses. So that's our hope and goal, is to do that. So that way, when we send communication, it'll actually get to the people. So that's what we're on the process of doing with Bloomerang as we pull this data. So we have made some strides in collecting some of the alumni information, but it's going to be more of your recent generations, I guess, than, some of your past information, because the past information, a lot of it tends to be paper files. And so then it would be getting that all digital.
So with the Raise Your Hand campaign, you think that will be, so what that did, that was all social media. And you clicked on this little icon of a person raising their hand. Yes, I was in 4-H. And then the form popped up that you filled out. And the people that I saw, and somehow I was able to see other people that raised their hands. And it was a pretty large variety. Both of my kids did it. I know I did it. A lot of people my age. I mean, there was a pretty wide variety of folks that did that from all over. But that's something I think before we start the Are You a 4-H Champion campaign, that we need to have that that same sort of platform in place, that we actually collect minimally an email, maybe, but it also has to be something where people feel secure and safe doing that. So is the Bloomerang able to help us with that also, do you think?
Yes, we currently have on our website, if you go on our homepage and scroll to the bottom, they can put in their information. I think it mainly is just an email right now. Yeah, it's just an email, their first name, last name, and email, and then they can start getting email contact or email information from us. I would love to figure out how to get, have them put in their address too, because that would be nice, and their phone number. And maybe that's a conversation we just need to figure that out with Bloomerang on how to do that. But yes, I think they have the capabilities, and then it's probably much more secure than filling out a Microsoft Forms or something like that. And then it's right into our database. So, if we send out an email the next day, they get it. And actually, when they do sign up for this, I believe they get a welcome email from us right away that says, welcome, thank you for signing up. We're happy you're here. And so we can customize those things too. Mm-hmm.
And I think right there, it needs to be something about here's how you can roar. Here's how you can be a champion. And maybe they have that flyer that we talk about, that all of the ways that you can be a champion.
So I had another thought under how do we identify and reach 4-H champions. I was thinking maybe we need to divide and conquer the state and ask different regions to identify one person who would cover that area. And isn't 4-H automatically divided into regions for the state?
There's districts.
District.
Yeah, there are districts.
And how many?
8. Hi, Jane.
Hi, I'm not
Are there
sure.
still 8?
Yes, there are 8.
So.
Okay. So maybe we need to recruit champion captains or something with a name like that. One in each district.
So I'm late to the party, sort
I-
of, although it was super fun at the dentist. We talked fundraising there too. So on the 4-H champions, I think one of the things that I came to discover too is not only just within the state, but then to identify people who will be
Out of-
those champion networkers out of state. Because I think we have several who will do that and who will connect us with people like, at the legislative breakfast, James Brown is in California.
Mhm.
But he may know a lot of the other ones who were in 4-H with him. Another thing I thought of, and I believe Kelsey and I visited about this, but one of the challenges with using some of the previous enrollment software, not only will some of that be out of date, but it's generally a family's email address, not the children's who were in. So then, let's say my kids, you're not going to reach them, you're going to reach me.
But then
And
you
they
could,
were, if we ask people
if
to
you
do
want to,
that. So we
someone will.
definitely need to have that call to action as we
Yeah.
welcome people in somehow to say, we are, trying to expand our network of 4-H alum, and please share this message with your, anyone in your family who's been part of 4-H.
So do you think there's a distribution of people from each of the 8 districts already on the board? Is that something we could figure out? I don't know. And what do you think of that idea? Just have so again, here's where it's coming from. When I worked fundraising for the American Cancer Society, I had 21 counties in eastern Montana, and I was an executive director. Clearly, I could not cover them all, so I just had one person in each county who reported back. And that was handing out material and fundraising. So I was just kind of taking that thought and tying it into this, that maybe we could do districts and ask someone to be a volunteer for their district, and then they could coordinate the district and get more volunteers per county, like into the extension offices.
It seems like it could be a good place to start. What does anyone else think?
I definitely think it's a good place to start. I think before we even start, though, we really gotta nail down what we want these people
Right.
to do. Because I was on the FFA alumni board for the state, and we had district representatives for each district.
Okay.
They didn't know what to do. I mean, they weren't given materials. They weren't given, by this date, the goal is to have this done. I mean, I think we really gotta put into place what we expect, what we want them to do. Here's the things to go do it, so it's easy and simple for them. Otherwise, they probably won't do it.
And
Yeah.
maybe
Materials, training, assets, all
I
the
was
things.
just going to say maybe that would be an in-person training.
Yeah.
Or an online training.
That they
Right.
could watch at any time. Maybe
We can do live and pre-recorded both, perhaps.
Yeah, for sure. But I definitely
So-
think that would be, go ahead, Morgan.
Earlier, someone was saying that when you guys were meeting with Rebel River, that's kind of what you were working on, was developing those materials. It sounds like that would be the first step, would be to get those developed so we can, if we can have that meeting and say, here's the stuff that you need to do.
Yeah, and or deciding what those need to be. I mean, and then getting them done and then figuring out who might,
I think we need a clear definition of a champion first, like a job description, what we're going to
that
ask
would be
them to do.
great too.
Yeah.
To be an advocate for 4-H Foundation, Montana 4-H Foundation, both, and I think a lot of times in fundraising, what we hear are the 3 T's, which are your time, your talent, and your treasure. So inviting people to be part of our 4-H Foundation network, giving of their, and we might want to put treasure first, treasure, talent, or time. Because obviously we're more in the business of the treasure, but If the way that they can give is their talent, they may give their talent in networking, they may give their talent in some sort of service they can offer. The dentist I was just at was saying he had offered to do a discount for a fundraiser that his kids were involved in, of giving 50% off of all your dental work. And then he'd just basically, if you had insurance, he'd donate what the difference of that and so on. So there could be somebody with talent out there who might say, hey, have I got a fundraising idea for you? And then if the time, then we would connect them with volunteering, whether that be to the board or to, local 4-H or to do project meeting.
I think if it's truly a trickle down effect, if we come up with that job description in order to recruit those 8 champions, and then we do the trainer that we train those champions to go back to their districts and recruit more champions.
Exactly.
And I think our goal with champions is to fundraise, to get donations, but to also champion for the program itself. Would you be a great project leader? Would you be a great, as employers, are you willing to talk to people about how great 4-Hers are to hire? So different ways, not just monetary, but other ways that they can really champion for the cause, for the program.
Yep.
And one of the things we have to keep in mind is we ask them in any of our materials or training. So I'm saying this out loud to help keep us honest with it, is we have to be sure that we mention to them about where this is an and proposition. It's not an instead of supporting your local 4-H. It's your choice. We're inviting you to give to us. And if you're not already giving to your local 4-H, please consider that too. Or if you're already giving to your local 4-H, please consider adding us.
Yep. So Jennifer, you think it can be alumni and employers?
I think it can be. I just know that in our community, some of the people that are really champions of 4-H were never in 4-H, but I was telling Kathy they've employed 4-Hers, and they will come to me and say, you got any kids that Annie, that, and sometimes they're looking for a good babysitter. Sometimes they're looking for a welder, and then it's the college graduates too, in the professional positions. So even though they aren't alumni themselves, they still recognize the value of the program.
So there's a chance we could broaden our reach with the 4-H champions, but it would be good to start small and network from there. And I would say 8 in state, and I don't know what the goal would be out of state, almost the same amount, I would almost think, to try to find those alum who have a little bit different connection, because you never know when, just to use James Brown as an example, and not fully understanding what his work is, but who does he know that he could invite to a Clover Coffee one day in California and say, here's this Montana 4-H Foundation, and I'm an alum from that, and you like working with me, so that's part of what got me here. Would you support that?
So we would have 8 champions, like district champions. Now we're talking basketball terms. But is that kind of what we're thinking? And then that would be the trickle down effect that Jennifer just alluded to. Because definitely we want more than 8 is what I'm trying to get at, right? Okay.
Well, yeah, and it's
Start
a
with
trickle
8.
down effect, I think.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere in all of that, we have to also try to get as many of the extension agents on board, or at least educated as to what's going on. So when they hear about this district champion, they are also utilizing them as an asset. and inviting them to things and providing them opportunities to talk to people.
So do you picture them in on the training?
I almost think we could do a special training for the extension, like with here's what we're training the champions on, here's what it means to you I think it's more specialized.
It could
What do you
be,
think?
what, don't you usually do a workshop at 4-H Update, Jane?
We have quite a variety, but there isn't always an abundance of time on that schedule for foundation to do something. Sometimes there is. It's been different the last couple of years, though.
That is one opportunity that a lot of them are together.
Right.
I think
Almost better the years that they break up into the 3 areas. I think they get better attendance then almost. I don't know. But
I think
that's-
it would be good to do one specific for extension, just because we probably do have a little bit, I don't know, different mindset, different experience, what have it. And I would agree it'd be better to do it maybe at either 4-H update, or maybe if there was a time to do it at annual convention. One of those meal breaks or something. Try and put a positive spin on annual convention, if you know what I mean, Jane.
I know. And we could put in to do a workshop there. That would be a good spot. It depending on how fast we get things, because that would be the soonest option available. And I do think the questions that will come to us from extension agents are going to be different than they would be from the champions we're training. And I wouldn't want to get them, the champions, kind of weighed down in the details of it that maybe the extension would be asking.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. My only fear about doing it as like a workshop session is not everybody's going to go to it. Whereas if you can
Right.
do it with the whole group, you're going to cover the whole group. And even if not everybody is a 4-H agent, they're still going to have that connection with the community and the people.
Yeah, I don't know the insides and outs of us getting a group time at annual conference, but it could be explored. I don't hold out high hope there. But it could be, I don't know what the timeline on this is. Annual conference is in mid to late October, and the timing could be really nice as far as we would maybe go to extension first and say, here's our plan. What are the holes in it? And also, who do you have to recommend? And then work from there, which wouldn't get us kind of launched in October of this year, but maybe by January it would. So it would be.
Our 4-H updates probably about to happen.
They're done for the year. Yeah.
So they're in February still.
They were February, March this year. And so one in Missoula, one in Miles City. And then update is supposed to be together next year, but I don't know where they'll choose to do it.
So you want to know one thing that I would love to see from Rebel River is this super inspiring, electrifying, energetic video of our first identified 6 or 8 champions that say, I am a 4-H champion because, and a little bit, it helped me become this successful scientist, and this is what I'm doing with my life now. Something, if we could identify for Rebel River those 6 or 8 outstanding people that you could show that at a meeting at annual conference, that recharged everybody's battery about their excitement about 4-H, because let's be honest, oftentimes at updates and at conference, 4-H gets more negative discussion than it gets positive. And so they need something to re-inspire them and remind them of how great this program is that they work with. So that is something I would love to see come from Rebel River, and then that could be utilized everybody to build that spark. Your 8 district reps could use it, along with then a slideshow that they and anybody they recruit could utilize to speak to organizations in their communities. And then that flyer, just a simple trifold that says, here are the ways you too can champion for 4-H.
I like that idea.
Yep.
I can imagine a rosette going by the screen with a 4-H clover on it, bringing in the next speaker,
Yeah.
4-H champion.
Yeah.
So I'm just jumping in as I feel like I need to say something. I hope that's all right. Do we need to do first thing, define the program? Because do you gals know if anybody has this? Have you ever heard of it? Is it going to be our thing that we've come up with? Is there something similar in other states?
I've
Well,
not heard of something similar in other states at the leadership meetings I've gone to. Illinois is the only state that I know of that has an alumni coordinator, and she would be a good one to visit with and see, are they doing something like this? Her name's Tina. Can't remember the last name, but she's very personable and would be easy to visit with, so we could find out if we could see what they're doing that way. Otherwise, I don't know of anything, but it does sound like FFA does, has a similar idea, but isn't necessarily, maybe they're in the same spot we are, where ideas need to be renewed, refreshed, re-energized.
Yeah, pretty much. And mainly the district reps roles at that point was to go and charter like more alumni chapters across the state, where I think our goals are a little bit different. It's yes, to get alumni, I guess, but more of to get them all alumni, employers, people to do things. So I think, yes, I think we got to clearly define exactly the job description, if you will, and then kind of move forward with that on materials and stuff.
And then recruit. So I guess that's where we go from here. Do you all agree?
I think starting with that specific job description of those district champions, what do you want to see them do as district champions?
Yeah, that
in my
kind of
mind,
with the implementation question, right, on the agenda.
Yeah, and I guess I haven't seen an agenda, so I'm jumping in all over the place. Is that okay?
Sorry.
It's not a super organized
not
agenda. It was a list of stuff.
Well, it wasn't like it's because of me that I didn't see it. I just want to be clear. It wasn't anybody else. I just didn't look. So if I'm all out of order, somebody needs to call that on me.
No, that's why I said that also. We were just going to brainstorm, and then Jennifer, thank you, took the initiative to just put some thoughts down in order.
Structure it.
We want to cover. Yeah.
Well, so what I could see in terms of, thank you, Amanda, for texting that to me. In terms of implementation, I would think one of the things we want them to do is to, like, I don't know if we want to say once a month or once every quarter, host a meeting of new people that they could bring to the fold, so to speak, and try to encourage them to be 4-H champions. And that could be alumni, it could be businesses. They could meet with, but they should everybody should talk to us about their guest list first, I think, just so that we kind of have that. We may know some information so that we don't upset the apple cart on some of that strategy. I don't know. Kelsey, you might have more collected thoughts on that than I do, but that's one of the things. I mean, what would be great is if they once a month they hosted a Clover Connect, a Clover Coffee, something where they a generosity party, whatever, for 4-H Foundation, and tried to have at least 10 other people be part of that. That way everybody, and I think just 10 a year, I don't think every month of the year is realistic, but basically 100 people. Can you get to 100 people in the year in whatever, and I'm not thinking just post on your social media. I'm thinking, can you have face to face or through video talk to people? 100 people in a
So
year.
I'm thinking, Jane, for me, in my experience, it's been easier for me to go to an audience that's already there.
Oh, yeah.
I would think one of the first things that we want them to do is to contact all the extension offices in their district and kind of let them know what their plan is. And then to me, I don't know about you guys, but our service organizations like the Rotary and the Kiwanis, they are all required to ask a guest speaker to their meetings. So that's an easy ask if people, and the extension offices can hopefully help them with those contacts, but hit your local, what are those groups called? I'm blank.
Civic organizations.
Civic organizations. So you're going to an audience that's already there and you're not offering an invitation that somebody might not show up to. You're kind of taking them by surprise. Here I am. But that could be your start to reach a lot of people, is to have that goal to. But so also my thought is they also need to maybe recruit a contact in each county, because when I think about our district, my district goes from me to Jane. So am I going to go to the Kiwanis Club at noon and the Rotary at 7 a.m. in all of that entire place? So maybe their second step is to recruit a champion in each county.
Yep.
What would it be like if we laid out a menu of options? We want you to reach 100 people with the offer to give their treasure or talent or time to Montana 4-H Foundation. In the course of the year, here are some ways we see that being done. Because I don't know that everyone's going to make the time to go to an early morning Lions Club meeting or whatever it is, in addition to what they're doing, but they might. I mean, that might be a great thing they've never thought of. They might also, like one of our newest donors said, I can call a Zoom meeting with 15 of my closest 4-H friends from all over the globe and invite them. And maybe that's the way they want to do that. And they reconnect, and then everybody has a great time visiting and catching up, and they give the little presentation at the end and invite them to give, and then just say, would any of you, if you had this slideshow, would any of you network with some other people? Would you like to be a 4-H champion? You know, that kind of thing. So I don't know that we need to be super specific about how. I think we can give a menu of options. Here are some ways with like the overall goal. And I don't know if 100 people over the course of it could be 10 people a month. You do this type of hosting, this type of getting in front of them. However, but I do think, in addition to not just putting out a post on where there's no connection at all, I think we want to ask them to do a bunch of posting as well, but a very specific connection time with humans, where they're not just scrolling. Yeah. Would that sound, it's a little looser, but
no, I
what do you
think
think?
so. Yeah. I think that's all part of that initial training that we would do with those 8 district champions of, all right, here's our goal is X number of contacts in the next year. And here's the multitude of ways about which that can be achieved.
Mhm. Mhm. Because
Okay.
I wouldn't have thought of, like, I love that Jennifer, you said that. I wouldn't have thought of that, or to reach out to Extension and say, hey, do you know, if you're the type of person who is willing to go do live presentations to groups that you're not familiar with, you know, that's more cold calling in some ways in my mind than the warm, I already know these people and they'll give because I asked them, you know, because I got a connection with them and they're going to probably, you know, if I say I'm giving $50 a month, they're probably going to get into their own budget and figure out if they can come close, kind of thing. So that there might be, what other ways do people see as we're brainstorming that? Like, so we've got civic groups, we've got online meetings, we've got Clover coffees, we've got, you could call it a Clover Connect. You could do, you know, you could do really a progressive dinner party if you had people all in a close proximity if you wanted, or do, you know, host something in your home, invite people in, but make sure they know that they're going to sit through a presentation like this when they come.
And the final goal we want of them is time, treasure, and talent.
Yeah, but I think treasure first.
Right. And we talked
Yeah.
about them being fundraising. So, and you and I had discussed eventually doing, excuse me, some events with them. But at this point, I feel like we should just get it set up, get them identified, get them trained, get them recruited.
Mhm.
And then if someone wants to go a step or two further and do some special events, we could organize that.
Yeah, you would hope it would grow.
Right,
wouldn't you?
but I
Like,
don't think we want to put that in the, we are recruiting you to organize a special event. I don't think we want to say that to push
no,
away instantly. Okay,
I don't think
Although
so.
I think maybe preparing some kind of toolbox, I just think
yeah,
we miss a lot of opportunities at fair time.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I know we were always really careful to have a display up amongst our indoor displays of here's how you join 4-H. And I know I really loved it way back when Terry Wolf, and I mean, this was at the beginning of the foundation, did the You're a Peach campaign. And he asked us, he came and cooked peach cobbler, and he asked us to invite alumni to come to that so he could thank them for their time in 4-H and serve them peach cobbler because they were peaches. Why do I always think Tony the Tiger is a champion? But you know, I don't know.
Yes.
You could serve him cereal. I don't know.
So the Yora Peach was at fairs?
Pardon?
The
Your
Your
peach was at fair. Yeah.
Fairs. Yeah, I think fairs
And-
are a great place to reach people. That I think you're right.
Yeah.
If we want to have a toolbox, I love that idea, Jennifer, of just things that the champions could do
Yeah.
to help recruit. It's different at different events where 4-H people are already gathered. I think that's
Mhm.
huge too.
Mhm.
I know it.
And Jennifer, oh, whoops. I was going to say, Jennifer, I can't imagine Terry Wolf. Well, there was somebody before him, right? That 1969 is when we started, and you're just not that old.
Right. I think no, he wasn't. Oh God, I'm not that old, but
I just wanted to make sure.
I think he was the first foundation director, though.
Do you think he was? I just don't know the history, but that could be true.
Because he went from extension in Gallatin County to being the director, and I'm trying to think who else was in the office. I think it was a fairly new position. Now, Margaret Dusenberry was on the original foundation board, but I don't think there's many of them left. any of
Yeah,
them.
maybe the board was operating on its own. Shadea's grandma may have been on the original board, Peggy Cornwell.
Yeah.
Marcia, you were going to say something.
Well, I was just thinking of the county fairs, and I know that they have the sales of the animals. But what about the foods products? You bring your cake, you bring your cookies and all this. Do they sell those after they've been judged and then just leave a slice with the ribbon to look at?
Depends on the county.
Not at
It-
our fair. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That would be another idea for somebody that wanted to coordinate something. It'd be maybe getting that started in a community and say, why waste all this good food? Why don't we show a little something there and then after a day sell it or something along those lines?
Yeah, every county runs that so differently. But it's definitely a thought. It's something that could be done.
Yeah, we
And
used
then-
to do a bake sale with our foods projects, and actually enough people knew about it that things were usually sold before we got finished judging.
So also, I think, but what do you guys all think? By default, each of the board members should be a champion. Not district wise, but just we should have the toolbox and the
Mhm.
information
And maybe not a goal of reaching 100, but a goal of at
No.
least doing one or two would be great, because I mean, you all have other tasks and responsibilities within the board, but that would be really great if each board member did something
Well, my thought is we should all be
along
trained.
that line. Mhm.
So if someone came and asked a board member what it
Well,
is,
it's a place
How-
to pilot your training program,
yeah, yep. That's what I
if
was
you
thinking.
look at it that way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Other thoughts?
I was a judge for the career transitions group for the FCCLA, and you could tell which of the kids had 4-H by the quality of their presentations. I mean, these kids would be champions too. They wouldn't have to be alumni. They could be able to speak to like the Kiwanis and some of these because they're so good at it to begin with. And wow, I was impressed with some of the ones that I saw. And they happen to be
I-
4-Hers.
Yeah.
Well,
I think one of
go ahead,
Go
Shane.
ahead. Well, I think one of the things that we have to keep ever in mind is kind of where the allegiances are. And a lot of I would think a lot of the 4-H members, their first place would be to be raising funds for their local program. And it's not that we can't expand them from there, but to me, I'm not sure how I would have felt if the 4-H Foundation had come in and said, I'd like a couple of your brightest, and I'm going to, and maybe it would have been fine because I had several members who served on the board over the years. And that was, I mean, I very much encouraged that. And that was a good thing for resume building and experience building and all of that. That I think we just have to have that caution in there of always keeping in mind the local. It's a little bit trickier dance than if we were just a foundation that didn't have all the local entities also trying to raise funds. On the other hand, if we didn't have them, we wouldn't have near the affinity in our program that we do, because that's what's driving it, is that good quality local programming.
Well, and that's where we also need the information that, gee, this is something that the 4-H Foundation does that we don't have enough money in our county to do. And so maybe it could be half and half. I'm here to say, I want this part of your gift for local, and I like the other part because the foundation does such a good job of sending youth to 4-H Congress, for example.
Yeah, so I think one of the things we need to decide is how much in our materials do we offer to support local or keep more, what the nuances are there. That'll be something to decide.
Yeah, because it like people partners, that's local, but it's also good for the foundation to have those kinds of things done in the community. So we want to recognize the Montana Foundation as well as the club that did it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, I think definitely the time and the talent are probably things people are going to share to locally. If those are things we have, is how can you champion 4-H in your flyer? And that includes the time and talent. It can be volunteering for your local 4-H program is going to be much more realistic than asking them to volunteer on a state level.
Yeah. So do we have any other thoughts? I was just going to offer to write all this up. And maybe Jennifer and I could work together on defining the program.
On doing what, the program?
Just defining it.
Okay,
Like we can just go back and forth with emails and stuff.
sure.
Is that what you think we should bring to the board meeting for approval? Do we need to have it approved? How do we go forward, I guess?
We are building some time into the meeting for committee meetings. And
Oh, we are.
so if you and Jennifer want to work on kind of getting, I would say, even your proposal together on kind of the thoughts of everything everyone's talked today and kind of direction forward maybe. And then in your committee meeting, you can develop it a little more if you have holes or you want to see what the rest of the committee thinks. And then at the board meeting, when you go to report, then I would think that would kind of give the direction, okay, let's start making materials for Rebel River to create, or whatever your next steps or direction would be. Then the board can kind of say, yes, let's do that. Let's change this, whatever that might be. I don't know. That was my thought. Jane, do you have a different thought with that, or is that kind of how you see that going? Okay.
Yep, that perfect.
So if Kathy and I put together a concrete proposal to present to our committee and make final adjustments on that then will go to the board.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think we're planning the committee meetings to give an hour. Is that about right, Kelsey? I had to miss our planning time unexpectedly last week. So I think we were planning about an hour between 10 and 11 for the committees to meet before we jumped into the whole board meeting. Would that be right, Kelsey?
Yeah, it's actually Jane
Roughly.
and I are going to give a few reports first, so it'll be a little bit later into the meeting, but we'll have the committee meetings will be first, more so before other decisions are made. So, but we figured some of our reports with like Rebel River and things might be nice for even other committees to consider before going into committee meetings. So,
Right. And what we did with coalescing all the strategies from the different directions and our internal knowledge of what can actually happen too.
yep. And some of our
Yeah.
update from Bloomerang and what we've been doing with them. And I think it'll just help make some decisions for the committees and things like that based off of what we've been working on since January.
So Jennifer, does that sound good? Do you want to work
Yes.
on that together and then bring it? And my thought is we currently have a joint committee because we're both working towards the same goals. Is that fair? I mean, the only one on alumni that's not on marketing is Morgan.
Yeah.
So can we just combine them?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Mhm.
Force in numbers
Yep.
Mhm.
for this particular project, which in my mind is what we would be focusing on
Mhm.
right now anyhow. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. a lot of great ideas. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think it would be good if we can get it implemented and everything. It's gonna be, I can see it growing and being really good.
I agree.
But
So I'll just type up what we went through today, and then I'll forward them to you, Jennifer.
Perfect.
Okay. And then we can go from there to kind of create a proposal just back and forth.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Right.
and then, one of the things to consider, and I'm not sure when or how, but to evaluate the return on investment on this.
Yep.
Evaluate if there are certain things that we can do as like we've met this benchmark because, we got the job done or whatever on some of these, but how will we know if it's working? So
Right.
I challenge us all to ponder that. Some of it may be in the finances, although if we were to bump into a recession or something, then you can't always guarantee that the program wasn't successful. It could have been something else going on in the world economy or something, you had a pandemic. Just there are different things that you hit up against that wouldn't, you'd have to exclude that in the factors, but I'm not totally sure myself how to evaluate this in terms of its success or when. I'm thinking it's going to be past the 1 year mark of getting it launched, maybe 2 years out, whatever, but where are the celebrations and key points along the way where we say this is working? And
So I
so that's
think,
a real challenge.
Kelsey, I would like to hear more at the meeting about how you think, to me, I have a website friend, and your goal is always supposed to be drive your traffic to your website, so if we can, through this campaign, drive traffic to the website to register as a 4-H champion, will, number one, be able to see how many people we get to do that, but then you'd also be able to track how many of those people make financial donations to the foundation. And that would be some pretty concrete evidence for this specific campaign.
I also think we can ask the first 8 and or the board members. I might be pushing the envelope, but we would do with the MSU alumni, we had to do a monthly spreadsheet where we checked off. I went to Lions, I talked to 12 people, I wrote a letter to the editor, I handed out brochures. Then they kind of knew what we were doing because I think there was a grant involved there with it. So they had to track the in-kind donation, I can't remember exactly how it went, but we got online and there was an interactive spreadsheet that we reported through and then just emailed it back. Yeah, it was very interesting. I can't remember why we had to report. It's been a few years, but they asked us to track our hours is what it was. So
and that would be kind of an interesting set on the menu of things to offer to people to do, along with the overarching goal, and have them, because if we can send an email once a week or once a month saying, 4-H champions, thank you for your work. Reminder, here's the link to update your progress. That sometimes that just reminds people.
And sometimes I emailed back and said nothing. So you didn't have to put it in the spreadsheet if you didn't want to break down what you didn't do. Or maybe I said I went to a club meeting, or not a club meeting, a MSU deal. You can just, it didn't have to be totally specific because, they had a paid staff person tracking it. And she would put in the hours, and she no longer works there, but I wouldn't be opposed to calling her and asking her.
Yeah.
Well,
and I'm thinking even direct phone calls, people rarely pick up a phone and call somebody anymore, it seems like, and that could be on the list.
Yeah, and our goal with that was to help during the legislature, so that's why they wanted us to say this is what I did, how many letters I wrote to who, and so they knew what we were doing.
There's a whole host of retirees who I think if somebody organized a meeting like this could of extension retirees and just, visit for a while and let them know ahead of time that you're going to do a little thing at the end, but um, give an opening for people to visit and a roll call or, some sort of question that people could answer, and then take the 15 minutes and give them the slideshow and, say what great things are coming out of the Bloomerang and, fun stories, and they might recognize some faces and people and
Yep.
get them to sign up. There'd be lots of ways to do it.
Well, and Bozeman has such a group, and they do meet twice a year. And there's usually 25 to 30 that attend those meetings.
Mhm.
And I'm just kind of an outlier. They invited me because I know a lot of them.
Mhm. Well, and I think of like Sheila Friedrich and Bobby Ross and Tara Andrews and Denise Sealstead, and there's just Jim Moore. There's a bunch of people that could be reached out to. Cheryl Knowles, the list. If some who aren't attending the retirees per se, but Dave Phillips. I mean, there's just a bunch of different people who might enjoy reconnecting.
I
with
could
their leader
challenge
colleagues.
Denise to have a 4-H cocktail party in Arizona next winter.
There you go. Just leave off the cocktail part. Just 4-H party. We don't need to know what she serves. No pictures with alcohol
Right.
get posted. No pictures with the clover and alcohol get posted.
There
That's
you
my
go.
rule.
Or karaoke. I mean, she had
Yep.
she lived in a very
Oh.
active area.
Clover karaoke. See, now we've got a whole nother thing. You can
There
do
you go.
online Clover karaoke.
Yeah.
I could do the car singing right now. What is that show that does the car karaoke? You don't want to hear me.
The cab, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so anything else? They probably all need to get going to other things, huh?
Be sure you write the karaoke idea down.
All right, okay.
I truly, but how much fun would that be for people?
Campfire Clover karaoke. Campfire, all the campfire
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
Karaoke with a C.
There you go.
Yeah.
One thing that the Montana Extension Association of Family and Consumer Sciences is doing is every 2 years, I'm the editor, so I solicit information from people and what they're doing and encourage them to keep in contact. And I'm going to be sending out one hopefully by the middle of April. And it's interesting. I mean, people are really excited to hear what Sheila's doing, what this person, and the effort that I'm trying to make is, you enjoy hearing what other people are doing. That means you should also share what you're doing. And so that it's really can grow. And so I think I've heard from about 50 this year. And that's why it's gotten bigger. But I send it email. But we still have people that don't have email. So we have to use postage. So one of the things I asked for is if you do have an email, let me know. Save some money.
Yeah. Anything else? Do we all agree we can be done?
I'm
Adjourned?
excited.
Yeah. Me too.
Sounds neat.
So one last thing. Well, two. I'm feeling my lips again, but it made me think you could call it Clover Carrie Croaky instead with 2 C's. So then, just a fun alliteration thing. So with that, I can sign out.
You'll have to spell that. Yeah.
That's Jane and her creativity.
Jennifer, can you stay on just a few minutes? And I want
You
to.
bet. Yeah, I've got some time. I have to listen in on House Bill 912 today, but yes,
Okay.
I've got
Perfect. It
time.
won't take long. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Thanks, Jennifer, for organizing us.
You betcha.
Okay. See ya.
If you want to stop recording, Jennifer. Thanks, Morgan. Figured they wouldn't want this in the recording.
There we go.